What's going on, everybody? My name is Box, and welcome to day 13 of Panduary. I'm joined by very, very epic Pandaren RPer, Jikai. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be on.
Yeah, so I said to Kai right before this, I said he's the guy to talk to about faction-related Pandaren stuff. Him and I have talked in depth in many videos about the Hwojin, the Teshui, and their philosophies. But I think overall in this, because these are just short little videos, we'd like to just talk about how Pandaren, all their factions are basically based around ideology, and why that's really good for making a character as a Pandaren. There's so many different ways you can play them as. And Kai can kind of explain maybe a few of his characters, how he plays them as and what faction they're in. But yeah, I'll throw it to you, Kai. I'll let you fill in that very vague question the best you can.
Nah, that's no problem, man. So, yeah, that's obviously everybody knows, the Pandaren have a multitude of factions, and I would say, at least in the role-playing spectrum, very, very underutilized, but I guess that has a lot to do with the fact that most people will just roleplay in Orgrimmar or Stormwind. But really, Pandaren are one of the most versatile, if not the most versatile race you could roleplay as in the game, and just in general, obviously you got the Hwojin and Teshui for your factions, and I can go on for days about the differences in their ideologies, but you've got the Order of the Cloud Serpent, who, have spent ages mastering warfare against the Zandalari and learning to fight in the skies on their Cloud Serpents. You've got the Shadowpan, who have essentially got to quell their emotions completely to not be susceptible to the shock, as their Panduary is one line of defense against it. The Golden Lotus have spent their life defending the Veil against the Mogu. There's just so many avenues you can go with the Pandaren, and it's a lot more than just the color of a tabard or, where your character wants to be. They actually all have philosophical differences and just differences of aims and goals. I love it. But yeah.
I think one thing we always talk about too, the cool thing about Pandaren is they're not just purely red versus blue. That's something I really, really like about them.
Oh.
So I have a question, and I'm just gonna throw this at you because this is the type of video we could do this. What's your favorite Pandaren faction? I'll tell you mine. Actually, I'll tell you mine now. My favorite is Hwojin Pandaren. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just love their ideology. I love the way Pandaren look in red. As I just say, wow, they're not red versus blue, but they look really cool in red. What can I say?
Yeah. So, I know this is a bit of a cliche choice. I want to say Hwojin as well, but not really, because I really like the Teshui just as much. I know a lot of people find them boring, but I think they can be really interesting. My favorite really is the Shadowpan, but it's not just because of the aesthetic and stuff that a lot of people, I guess, associate them with. Not to say oh, I'm different, but I really love the mastering of the emotions spectrum that they bring. I've always thought that was so neat.
Right?
It's such I don't know. It's just such a unique thing, and it's got a lot of I don't want to, not connotations, but a lot of parallels with a lot of Eastern philosophies like Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism. I've always found that really, really fascinating.
This is on the topic of patch 8.3 in the Shadowpan. I have to wonder if they're going to play a big role against the minions of Enzoth because of that trait, because they fought Yasharaj, his whispers, for all those years, because they could control their emotions. I think that would be really cool if that somehow came into play fighting the old gods.
Yeah,
the Pandaren can almost be a secret weapon against them. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and I think actually in a way you can discern a bit more of the Void Gods, or the old gods and the Void Lords, in the sense that, are they going to try and manipulate emotions again, just like Yasharaj did, or Yasharaj? I don't know how to pronounce it. Are they going to manipulate emotions like they did? Because then, of course, the Shadowpan are going to have all the advantage in the world. They've been training to fight against their emotions all their lives.
Right.
But even if not, surely, even not just in the spectrum of emotions, the Shadowpan would have an edge against them, because fighting against shadowy aberrations is all they've ever done. So surely they've got to have more expertise in taking them on. I hope they explore that a little bit, but there's a lot that you can learn from the Shadowpan, because that's literally the whole focus of the Order with taking on the Shah, who are born of the same essence that the Void Lords are.
And like, man, I remember this is on the topic of Shadowpan as a faction, but I remember vividly one of my best memories of Mists of Pandaria is the initial quest line on Horde where Nazgrim gets possessed by the Shah and Terran Zoo comes down and basically saves him. There's just something so visual to me about that whole scene, and like, I don't know, it's something I just haven't forgotten to this day, and I find really, really cool.
Yeah.
Like, just the imagery of the Shadowpan in general.
You know what's so funny is I was actually questing out in Pandaria today, and I did that quest.
It's so cool. It is so, and when he does it on the other side too, it gives a really cool image, and that was when, I'll be honest, Kai, like, I really liked the Pandaren, but when I saw Terran Zoo's design, that's what made me want a main one, and I wholeheartedly admit that. And a lot of older pictures of Box, I don't know if you've noticed, he usually wears the Shadowpan mask, and it's just, visually, it's just such a badass design. But yeah, I think that probably about wraps up this episode. That was nice. We don't get to talk about the Shadowpan too much. And
no, we don't. They're such an awesome faction in more ways than one, and yeah, they definitely deserve their due.
So I think let's throw this out to the viewers, Kai. Anybody who's watching this, let us know your favorite faction in the comments below. We basically we did just both announce ours. So I'd love to hear in the comments below, what's your favorite Pandaren faction? And honestly, let's throw it out there, not just Pandaren. What's your favorite WoW faction in general? And as of the day of this recording, we'll have Pandas and the Knights of the Ebon Blade, so I'll see you guys in 8.3. Thanks again, Kai, for being on.
My pleasure. Honorable mention of Lore Walkers.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot Lore Walker.
Lore Walker Trail, my favorite Pandaren.
Day 16 to be continued.
Yep.
Bye.